survival alone is insufficient, and hell is the absence of other people. That's the premise of the book I just completed, very topical and relevant to the times that we are living in right now, where a virus holds us all peril across countries. The book is called Station 11. It's by Emily St. John Mandel, and it's a fiction, and it's quite. I thought it was very relevant to the times we are in right now. This year thus far has been a very, very difficult one for me, and it is quite hard for me to do this, but I think it is something which needs to be done. So the book, as I said, is a dystopian novel that is set in the days of civilization's collapse. And this is after a swine flu pandemic devastates the world, killing 99% of humanity, and it leaves behind a world completely unlike what we know of today. The premise or the preoccupation of this book follows the narrative that just to survive is very painful. We as humanity live to thrive and not just survive. And this is something we may all relate to right now, with social distancing becoming the key. I'd probably like to read out this quote. It starts with, of all of them there are at the bar that night, the bartender was the one who survived the longest. He died 3 weeks later on the road out of the city. So novels like this, which show us a world very different from our own, mostly fall in the realm of thought experiments. Happens mostly in science fiction, where authors question what happens. Say, for example, if we were to live in a society which is always scrutinized. That's the premise of the novel 1984. Or say, what happens if we were to live alongside humanity. Asimov's science fiction, which is why I think I really love this genre. And coming back to this book, it explores the world 2 decades post what they call as the collapse, right? One that is devoid of electricity or the ubiquitous internet. It also makes us, at least I could take a step back and think about how grateful I should ideally be to live in a world like we are in today, where things are at our fingertip. What happens if that's not there? Imagine a world which is peppered by remnants of what once was. And this world, it's easier for teens who were born after this collapse happened, right? Because they've never seen a different life. But what happens to those who have had a past with which they could compare it to? There's this quote, very, very poignant. What I mean to say is, the more you remember, the more you have lost. It is hauntingly beautiful as it follows the journey of a traveling symphony. There's a group which roam the wastelands of what remains, and they go around play acting Shakespeare, because why not, right? Again, survival is insufficient to be alive, and one needs to be able to make choices and have a sense of belonging. The book also traverses back and forth in time, and it covers the dispiriting love life of this Hollywood actor with multiple points of view. And as in all stories, there's a self-proclaimed prophet or a dictator who ends up bemoaning the series of unfortunate events and attributing that to forces beyond us, and at the same time being hypocritical enough to take up small kids as wives. So the book in itself is not very highly dramatic or emotional, even in spite of the theme, but it does put forth a very clear view of how calamity brings out the best in us. It also brings out the worst in us. Something which we already see happening around us, and also how nature regains her space in times like this. 20 years later, there are memories of survivors, talismanic objects which are put together in what they call a museum of civilization. And then there's hope, right, to rise up. And there's resiliency and tenacity to endure. And that's where you are reminded that humanity always chooses hope over annihilation. And that's what makes us human. I'll end with this Ruskin Pond quote, which is very relevant to our times. when all the wars are over, a butterfly will still be beautiful. Stay safe, stay put, and apologies for the background noise. Thank you guys.